Hello, everyone. Welcome to Plum Talks. Today, we have a special guest, Dennis Moons. He's from Belgium, and he has also been nominated as a top 25 PPC experts around the globe. So today, we will try to understand his point of view on Google Ads, like what are the changes, especially on Google Shopping, basically. What are the changes he's been noticing from years, and what's his point of view? Because it is very important to understand from the expert himself, like what are the changes, what could the conclusion he's observing through the changes that Google is mentioning, for example, Performance Max. And we have a latest update, like from now on, there might be a dynamic search, something like in the Performance Max. So we'll try to understand that particular things in the coming time. So without further ado, we welcome Dennis Moose to our another podcast. So welcome, Dennis. It's a pleasure to host you here on the Plum Talks. The Plum Talks idea of a Plum Talks is to bring the experts, people who are working really well in their industries, focusing on particular skill set and growing, helping people on that particular industry. And we are delighted to have you on Plum Talks. And yes. Welcome.
Yeah, great to be here, Shiv. Thanks for including me, and I look forward to sharing my ideas and observations around Google Ads and all that in this episode.
Of course, yes. Thank you so much. So we can start from the I already gave a bit about your introduction, like what you do. Maybe if you want to start with your thing, like what you are doing currently. I know you are also running you're trying to help or share your knowledge, whatever you have learned in the decade of your professional career, and now you're trying to help other people to understand what is how they can get benefited, how they can help their clients to get better results from Google Ads. So could you please tell us what special you are doing in your things in this particular industry as store growers?
Yeah, definitely. So I mainly work with Google Ads and specifically for e-commerce businesses. I kind of evolved from being a general marketer to working with Google Ads and then like focusing more on e-commerce. So that's like the 10-second journey that I've made over the last 10 years. And in that, I used to just manage campaigns for clients. And at a certain point, I started sharing more and more insights and things that I was learning from the campaigns that I was running, and people find them really helpful. So I started publishing a lot of articles already like 9 years ago, and sharing our ideas, and that kind of has like continued to evolve to the point now where I don't really manage any Google Ads accounts. I do consult with a few clients to kind of see and keep my fingers on the campaigns to kind of see like, okay, what trends we're seeing. But now I'm mostly focused on teaching Google Ads, kind of helping people through courses, through a program that we have on how they can use Google Ads in their business. And more and more, this has evolved to kind of teaching people how to actually find out what's working, because Google Ads is evolving so fast. There is a core set of best practices that's still applicable, but for a large part, there's less and less absolutes. So people have to see for themselves. So it's helping people to kind of take this approach in their own accounts and to kind of find out, what's actually working for them.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, I've been following your LinkedIn posts or LinkedIn content being while from now, and I was learning about your post and trying to understand on what topics you really want to talk about. And I understood with the shopping, Google Shopping, you also add your perspective on the things like, for example, how important is to optimize your product titles, all the things, how these small things can make a huge difference in your. So have you found any of the tool or any of the AI technology who is helping business owners for who is helping business owners to optimize their product titles? Or is it a manual effort that marketers should do, or is it something they can use some tools and optimize their product titles or descriptions?
Yeah, so I think first up, focusing on things that you can do outside of Google Ads has always been important, but it's going to get even more important, because if Google is optimizing a lot of the things that are happening in Google Ads, then it becomes that everyone kind of has access to those same tools, right? So Google is going to use or give a pretty similar service to different advertisers. So I think a competitive advantage becomes what you do outside of Google Ads, right? Everything to do with your website. And in terms of Google Shopping, your product feed is like one of the key parts of that. And the part you kind of have to figure out is what changes do you make to your product feed, right? There's over 60 different product attributes that you can change. Yes. So which ones like should you focus on for your business? And as you mentioned, like the product title is one of the most important attributes you can actually change. So I think for many merchants or for many retailers, advertisers, the first step is to kind of understand like what their product feed currently looks like, what their titles look like. Rather than jumping into tools immediately, it's kind of seeing like, okay, where are we and what are we missing, right? And it's kind of getting this awareness of, okay, we have some mismatch. We have like titles that look good on the website, but then when it comes to the product feed, we're missing key keywords, right? Like important keywords that people are searching for. Maybe you name your product a little bit different compared to the target market. So there's a lot of these differences. There's actually, Google has released a tool. It's pretty technical to use it, but it kind of combines like the generative AI improvements and tools that have been coming out together with a feed. So actually you can use like generative AI to kind of optimize your feed. Now it's not 100% yet, but it's a cool idea to kind of use that to automatically update your feed. One tool I have found really helpful is so Product Hero is a provider, a CSS provider. Yeah. Like if you're not in Europe, you might not know what that is, but it's kind of like one really good way to run your shopping campaigns inside of the European Union. And they also have like an extra set of tools. And they have a tool specifically to optimize your product titles. So they will make suggestions on how to improve your product title, what keywords you might be missing, and they will actually pull this from your own search terms report, kind of seeing like, oh, this I don't know, this dress is showing up for these keywords or for these search terms. Maybe it makes sense to kind of add that into the title as well. And yeah, they have like it's pretty intuitive tool that can help if you don't want to get involved in like doing the keyword research yourself, going into Google Merchant Center, creating extra feeds, etc.
Right, correct. I have been noticing this particular thing as well, because that particular thing that where you need to go on the internet and find out what other competitors are doing, what kind of titles they are creating, it's a lot of manual effort. So using that particular the tool that you mentioned, Product Hero, could be a thing that marketers can get much more productive in their work schedules for sure. Okay, yeah. Great. I just wanted to start, but I just read your LinkedIn post regarding the product titles, and I wanted to ask you like, what's your take? That's why. Otherwise, we can. I need to discuss. Like, I want to know your tricks, like your hacks, how you find out the latest, how you get up to date with Google Ads. What kind of things you read, what kind of how you summarize the announcements and put it on your on practice with the accounts, or how you put it on the courses so that you can help. So if you can share these things, this could be really helpful for the beginners or the people who are really working hard on Google Ads. So maybe they can also get benefit of how they can get up to date with the latest trends, and how they can summarize actually, because there are a lot of data on the internet, but they are very specific people who are actually providing the right information that you can absorb. So
yeah, so there isn't like a shortage of information, right? If you're, doesn't matter like which social network you go on, or if you go to Google and you type things into to search, like there's no shortage. So it's kind of understanding. I'm not really a big fan of kind of like consuming information just to consume it, right? Because that's what I see with a lot of advertisers. They're not really focused on their account, but they're kind of like always looking for the next new thing. Right, like, oh, and now like there's gonna be I don't know, the generative search results, right? Like, oh, we have to figure out like how that impacts us. And while that is important, like right now probably you're dealing with something that's blocking your account, that's blocking the growth of your account. So rather than looking for whatever Google is putting out, try to see, okay, what is limiting in your account, and kind of like finding a fix for that. So for me, my business depends on staying up to date with Google Ads. So I have a number of blogs that I really read. I use LinkedIn, I use Twitter a lot. And then I do a lot of my own research as well. I have like many brands that I kind of track, like what they're doing. I kind of keep tabs on their strategies, the ads they're creating, the new ads they're creating, the ads that they've paused and no longer create. So that's like a pretty big part where I try to stay like informed on what's happening. So for example, if I see something, someone posts something on LinkedIn and it's kind of like, oh, this is an interesting idea. I will put it, I have like a big list of things I need to research, right? So this is my research folder. And then like when I have some time, I have some blocks like blocked off for that, some time blocks. I go through the folder and kind of see like, okay, well, what would be relevant right now for an article that I'm creating, or a client I'm working with, or a blog post or something that I'm researching. Which ones would be helpful to kind of cover? And then I try to actually replicate it in my own account, because very often you will see people post something like, oh, this is the new thing, you should do it like this. And then, yeah, let's see, because I really love like testing things in my account, especially since it's so hard. It's not only other experts or people sharing information, but it's also kind of putting a check onto Google, right? Google will say like, oh yeah, this new feature in Performance Max, or Performance Max itself, it's the best thing for all advertisers. So we say like, okay, yeah, let's see, how does it compare to other campaigns? Like now you have like actually the experiments you can run in your account. Before it wasn't there, so we have to kind of come up with our own experiments to kind of verify like, how different campaign times compared, for example.
So you must have a checklist or a document, or maybe you have created a system of creating a content of your own. For example, whenever you see a content, you put it on somewhere, and you start, whenever you get a time, you research on it and grab the information accordingly. Great. I'm also trying to figure out how we can create a better content, since now the AI is there. There are a lot of content that you can find, AI generative content you can find, but now the thing is how trustworthy the content could be. Like now the difference that can create to the market you can create is something like how relatable people can, because now I think after reading, people are understanding, okay, this is the content that someone created from AI itself. So there's a thing. Okay, my another question comes to our basics of Google Ads. Like since you have been working on a decade on Google Ads, like I have also worked on Google Ads, but the question always comes up something like for example, there's a business called lead generation. They are business of e-commerce. Since now Google Ads has a lot of campaign types, right? Like how the business objectives of that particular campaigns align, like how a marketer can, maybe that's a different question. For example, I want to understand how a marketer now can align their business objective with the Google ad campaigns they have, because since now they have 6 campaigns: search, display, YouTube. What would be their best strategy to start with? Like, my objective is something like this, and I should opt for this particular campaign. I do not need to go for all the go with all the 5 or 6 type of campaigns. So what's your advice for those marketers who are trying to understand who top 2 campaign types that could work for them initially?
Yeah, so I have to say I only work with e-commerce businesses, so
Yes.
everything that I say is kind of like filtered
Yes.
through that lens.
E-commerce.
And yeah, as you said, like it's important to start like with business objectives. And I know that for many people that get started with Google Ads, they kind of roll into it and they have like a pretty vague objectives, like I want to make more sales, right?
Yeah.
Or I want to make more profit or something. So I think it's at that point it is important to try and take a step back, like, okay, what exactly are you trying to do? But in most cases, for most advertisers, especially if they're new, I find that it's most useful to start as close to the money as you can. So if you think of it as like the typical funnel, right? You have like top of the funnel, medium, bottom of the funnel. Like it's the top of the funnel, probably if you're starting out, and if you think about things like YouTube ads or something, I don't think that's something you should be concerned with, because running good YouTube ads, running good like display, even harder. These things are hard. You need good creative. You need to really understand like what you're doing in terms of targeting, in terms of like running the campaigns, in terms of budgets. And it's so easy to spend a lot of money there without seeing any return. And believe me, I have spent my own money, clients' money on campaigns where we've really tried hard to kind of like find some like justification to keep spending money, but we couldn't find it in some cases. So what I suggest is if you're an e-commerce business and you get started, I think shopping, specifically standard shopping, is still a great campaign type because you will actually have control over who sees your ad, right? So you know it's people searching for your product. You can, depending on like the bidding strategy, you can select like how much you pay, and then you also have control over the key search terms, right? You can see exactly which product triggered which search term. So you have like a very good view to see like, okay, you're not getting any sales. Like, why is this happening? You know that people are putting stuff into the search box and they're seeing your ads, but they're not converting.
Yeah.
And you can see like, oh, okay, which product is showing up? Which are my most popular search terms? Are those search terms relevant for my business? Do I need to get a little bit more specific? And I think after that, like you can evolve and you can start to add in like other campaign types. Something like Performance Max, for example, it's a campaign type that isn't just limited to people putting stuff into Google. It's like, it's search ads, it's video, it's display, it's a bunch of other things, which if you're just starting out, it's probably a little bit too much at once.
Overwhelming.
So I suggest starting closer to the money, and then as you build that, as you get consistency, as you get confidence as well, you can start to move and experiment with things that are a little bit further in the funnel, because there's no point starting with YouTube and then trying to make your way back, because if you've already spent all your budget on YouTube, there's not going to be anything left. So
great. I've also seen nowadays businesses, what they are doing, they whenever they start Google Ads, they might not opt for search a basic thing that they should do is to understand the search queries, what people are asking, and then go to the different campaigns. But nowadays people are, what they are doing, they just start their Google ads and they start with the performance max. They put the ads to all other all over the Google partner websites. But what happens is they do not understand, because when you talk about the standard shopping, when you talk about the search campaigns, you are paying for the search queries that you are getting, right? Like you are paying for Google so that they can provide you the search queries so that you can understand your customer, right? But when you talk about the AI, the performance max, you're not getting anything. Maybe now, according to the update, recent update, people now can see the search queries maybe, but I'm not sure about it. But performance max is a blind thing that you can do and put your money over there and see, because when the performance max started, the Google started the performance max, people really got good results. I'm not sure, but now their campaigns are getting bad and bad results day by day. Maybe that could be business to business, but this is something that I have observed. So that's why I wanted to understand from you, like what's your perspective on standard shopping and performance max, how you differentiate it, and why you recommend performance max to someone and why you recommend performance max to someone.
So yeah, totally. I have to say, so with performance max, you're also able to see search terms, but it's a much more limited. Way to kind of know what's showing up. Also, if you see the search terms, you don't know if it was a search ad or a shopping ad that triggered it.
Yeah.
Again, this kind of complicates things to kind of understand, like, especially when you're starting out, it's so important that you kind of understand the context of a person putting something into the search box, seeing your ads appear, knowing which ads like show up next to you, like how does your product compare to the competitor, and that gives you so much like more information to then see, like, okay, maybe you need to choose different products to advertise on, maybe you need to maybe some products you're priced too high, you shouldn't be advertising, and or like it also gives you information on, oh, you have to put this keyword into your product title, right? It's missing. So that's why, like, I'm such a big fan of, if you're starting out, do it with standard shopping. To me, at a certain point, when you've had these insights, when you kind of know your numbers a little bit, then it becomes more of a scaling tactic. You get a certain amount of results with your standard shopping campaign. How does performance max compare to that, right? At that point, there's no like right or wrong, you should do this or you should do that. It's more about the performance you can get. And I have to say that with performance max, it has definitely like evolved. So it's been out almost 2 years now. Yeah. And it's really, performance has picked up, and they've released a couple of new features which have made it more useful. But I'm still like in with a lot of accounts, with a lot of clients, I recommend, like, okay, let's test it too. It's not, oh, performance max is the new thing, let's just put all your money there. But no, let's run like your standard shopping campaigns, see what results we're getting, and then also let's see like your performance max campaigns. And within performance max, there's many different ways to actually run that, right? You can run it just with your feed, you can run it with all of the assets. There's many different options that you then have, but to me, it's both standard shopping and performance max. They're actually just tools. I don't have like I love standard shopping campaigns because that's been what I've been doing for such a long time, but I don't have like a preference for one over the other. It's Google is continuing to evolve performance max. The market is continuing to evolve, and actually what I've started doing in some accounts is we actually run them simultaneously for the same products, and we kind of there's like an interplay possible between the different campaign types. So it's not that you choose to run this campaign type or this campaign type. There's actually a world where you run like all of them, and together they kind of like reinforce one another. It's not for all advertisers, but this is kind of like what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking about it.
Perfect. The question that comes to my mind when we talk about the shopping and all these things, let's take a case study, or let's take a use case where a business comes. How should they align their KPIs? For example, a business comes and you tell there are a lot of businesses who have a bad objective initially, like they take sales as their objective. How you suggest to list your KPIs? For example, clicks could be for the first 2 months, clicks or impressions could be your first KPI. Then you can move to the CTR. And what's your list? Maybe yes, for especially for the e-commerce and shopping, like wow.
So I have like a 4-part framework that I usually use with clients, or with students. The first part is like getting clicks, right? Like if you have like your ads, you launch your campaigns, you want to get clicks. Usually, in most cases, this isn't a problem. Google is happy to spend your money, but in some cases, there are some reasons like why you're not showing up, or why you're not showing up for the right search terms, or something weird things going on with your feed. But that's like the first objective. It's usually pretty easy to hit that. The second thing that we're looking at is our conversions, right? So once you've had clicks, once you've had like a sufficient number of clicks, it's kind of time to expect something from it, right?
Yes.
I had, for example, someone I worked with recently, they had about 800 clicks coming to their website. And they asked me like, I haven't made a single sale. Like, is that good? What should I be expecting? Should I just keep be putting money into this? And then the question is like, it depends, right? And it turned out that he has over 7,000 products on a store. So let's say roughly like it cost him like $1 to for each click. So that means maybe he got like 800 clicks, 1 click on each product, right? So he had like 800 products that he got 1 click on out of like 7,000 products. So can you then draw a conclusion that Google Ads doesn't work? No, it's probably because the budget is spread too thin. Right? So that's kind of something that's important to figure out. Like, if you're not getting those conversions, why is this happening? Are your prices too high, or is there something going on like with your landing pages or something? So there's lots of ways to kind of figure out things to do to your campaigns to kind of like get to that next stage. And then the next stage, we're trying to get to like profit, right? So we don't just want clicks, we don't just want conversions. We want to make conversions at the right for the right cost. So if we're trying to figure out, okay, what is the scale, what are the exact numbers you need to hit? What is your break-even ROAS, for example? This is a metric that I love calculating with advertisers. Take all of your costs that you have associated with selling a product, and kind of see like, okay, if you have like that cost, that amount of shipping, that amount of taxes, like what does your return on ad spend or ROAS need to be in order to break even? Because many people that don't have this metric, and then they have the thing like, it must be helping. I know I'm not seeing the numbers there, but it must be helping. But running your campaigns this way, maybe you can do it for the first month, the second month, but then by month 3, you're kind of thinking like, I'm spending all this money and I'm not sure if it's returning anything. Then you kind of need to know, like, are your campaigns working? If not, like, you need to investigate. If they are, maybe you should spend a little bit more. So if they are like profitable, we kind of get to the last stage, the 4th stage, which is scaling, right? And scaling, this never ends. It can mean raising the budgets on your existing campaigns. It can mean adding in other campaign types, campaigns with different angles. It could mean scaling higher into the funnel, right? So adding stuff like YouTube ads and seeing how that impacts the overall results. So that's kind of like the process that I go through. So not all advertisers reach the scale part, or maybe they reach it, but they are only able to spend, I don't know, like $1,000 a month, and they can't get beyond that because their prices are too high, their website isn't good enough, they don't have enough reviews, etc. So yeah, that's kind of the framework that I use.
That's really nice. Like, if you, I recently read on your post, like on in the middle of that particular post, you wrote, if you want that particular sheet, you can write comment in your post. I'm
Yeah, sure.
Right. So if you want to share that particular document with our audience, we can put it on our YouTube descriptions, and if you're comfortable sharing, we would love to share it with the audience so that they can also use that particular. I think it's a spreadsheet, right? Or is
yeah,
it's a spreadsheet formula.
It's basically a calculator that will tell you like what your break-even ROAS should be, right? So you can just like put in all the costs associated with the order, and then like you will get the number that you need to hit with your campaigns. Yeah, happy to share it.
That's really special, or that would be a surprise or gift for the advertisers that are currently working. So let's jump to the another segment where we want to discuss, or maybe get to know the top 3 things like that people love to know. That's always a thing that attracts people to, or learners to understand the top 3 things that or 3 best practices for Google standard shopping that you can give to the learners.
Yeah. So the thing about standard shopping, the most important part there is, I don't know if I'll get like 3, but the most important like concept is you have more control. And the thing that still works to this day, it's been I think about 8 or 9 years since I found this out, and that is like search query level bidding. And what this means is that you have like different shopping campaigns, standard shopping campaigns that are each targeting a different set of search queries. So it's it kind of like is a little bit complicated to set up, but it allows you to kind of select which search terms, which keywords you want to appear for with your shopping ads. And if you're running standard shopping, you can choose to only appear for those keywords that you know are most valuable. So to put this into a practical example, let's say you're Nike and you're selling running shoes, right? So the least valuable search query you could get for a particular product would be running shoes, because what do people mean? Are they interested to go running? Do they mean like Adidas running shoes? Like, you don't know. So they might not be willing to bid that much. They know that the value of such a keyword, they might convert some people, but the conversion rate is going to be pretty low. Next up is somebody looking for Nike running shoes. They know like, okay, this is our brand. We kind of want to show up here. We're going to bid higher. And then people might be searching for a specific model of running shoes. So it might be Nike Free. That's the name of the shoe. So they might say like, oh, this is the most valuable search that this product could appear for, so we're going to pay the most. And if you allocate your budget this way, it's going to be you're going to see much better results, rather than let Google decide like where to spend your money, because they will spend most of your money on those generic searches. So I think that's like the number 1, 2, and 3 most valuable tip you can do to standard shopping.
Perfect. That's an eye opener for me as well. So again, the question comes again with the 3 best practices for the Performance Max, if you want to share.
Yeah. So I think with Performance Max, it's kind of the reverse from standard shopping. You don't have control over where it's showing. So the first thing is that you should make sure that your campaigns are not too small. You shouldn't have like, let's say, 8 Performance Max campaigns in your account. You should have like only a few of them to consolidate all of the data into a single campaign, because that's how Google learns. If you only have a campaign that has like 1 sale in the past month, Google is going to have a very hard time to actually find out like what is most useful. So I would say try to have as little as few campaigns as possible when it comes to Performance Max, to kind of consolidate all of the data to help Google learn like what works. A second tip would be to only use, or to start out only using a feed in your campaign. So when you're setting up your campaigns inside of Google, Google will ask you for all of the details, right? They will ask you for an image, they will ask you for a video, for headlines, select your product feed, but you can actually choose only to add your product feed and not add an image or not add text or something, and just launch your campaigns that way. And when you do that, Google is kind of limiting most of your ad spend to shopping ads. So you're not showing that much in search, you're not showing that much on display or YouTube. And that's actually generating pretty good results for me. And I think the third tip could be like around like audience signals. So for every asset group, similar to an ad group, you can add like audience signals to a particular set of products. And to really think about like your asset groups, to the products that you put inside. If you're putting in ad copy, think about how this all fits together, both your products, your ad copy, and then the audience signal. For example, if you're just going to include men's products there, make your copy, make your audiences, make theirs all like focused or targeting men. And then like if you have another one for women, refocus that and target it towards women. Now that is kind of like the best way to kind of make sure that your campaign stays focused, even though you're giving Google free reign to show your ads to who and what search terms, etc. But those are like really, it's a really good combination to use.
That's great. We already covered a lot of questions today. The last question or last advice that I want to ask from you is, for all the digital marketers or for all the PPC marketers who are working in the e-commerce industry, what is your one piece of advice that you want to share with them that that they can apply and they can be better and better day by day and showcase their work, like yes, they are grooming and they're upskilling into the e-commerce industry? Because sometimes I saw a lot of marketers, they kind of stuck and they are not able to grow after a certain point, and it might be that can be disappointing for them or something like this. So what one piece of advice that you can share to the PPC marketers or e-commerce marketers so that they can regularly upskill themselves?
Yeah. So I would say like I see the same, like people are stuck, or advertisers get stuck with their accounts at a certain time, and the only way to kind of like break out like where you're currently stuck is to expose yourself to new things. So new things doesn't mean like reading more like on LinkedIn or reading more on Twitter, because many of the same things get recycled again and again, and you think like, oh, I already know this. I find the most useful thing is to really seek out different ideas. For me, the most important learnings come from my own tests. It comes from doing a lot of research, and not really research where I look up, I try to search for blogs with the correct answer. No, it's kind of like looking at campaigns. When was the last time you opened up your, let's say your YouTube app and looked at the shorts, but actually don't really look at the shorts, look at the ads inside of YouTube, right? Go click on them, go see like how they are handling it. What does their funnel look like? Do you get retargeted? Go, like if you're going your industry, put in like your main keywords into Google Ads, click on the ads of your competitors, see where they take you, see what copy they're using, see what you can figure out. Like do it for like maybe do it for like an adjacent industry. If you're into makeup, check like what a skincare seller is doing.
Right.
See which brands are probably like there's so much out there for you to learn and for you to see, and it doesn't require you, so to break out and to get better, it doesn't require you to be 10 times better overnight, right? It's like one small little thing every day or every week that you kind of pick up, get a little bit better. You manage to apply that to your campaigns of your clients, and slowly you're getting better and better. And I might be really biased because this is something that I love. I love testing. I love researching, and I think it really makes you a more it makes you a more credible marketer as well. If you can not only say like, oh, I read the book or I read the LinkedIn post, but you actually say like, oh, I ran the experiment in my own account, and I saw that it didn't work or something like that. So
that's a great piece of advice that I remember. There's a last 1 year or 2 years back, I was attending a session where there's a email marketer called Dan Locke. He was mentioning to be a better email marketer, subscribe to the lot of emails that people are sending, and create your personal separate email where you can subscribe all the emails and regularly check those emails. What are the people regularly sending, and those are the marketers behind it, right? So you can understand what they are. So that's a great piece of advice. Thank you so much. I think we came up to the end of this podcast, and I think this is the best discussion I am having. I think people who are going to watch this, they're going to have a lot of learnings out of it in the coming time. Yes, it was a first talk with you. That's why we picked up 4 or 5 topics, but I would love to invite you in the upcoming podcast where we just talk about a particular topic and spend 30-40 minutes on a particular topic and discuss the questions around it. That might be much more specific in the coming time, but that's a great discussion we had. Thank you so much, Dennis, for your time, and I think people are getting benefited from this podcast for sure. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was great being here and sharing some of my ideas with your audience.
Thank you so much. And with that, we reached the conclusion of this captivating podcast episode. If you really enjoyed listening to our discussion today, we invite you to explore more insightful episodes on our website or our YouTube channel, Plumfy. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel or show your support, ensuring that you never miss out the future releases. For marketers seeking to enhance their skills in PPC marketing, we have a special treat. Visit to our website, explore our free academy section, exclusively designed to provide valuable resource and knowledge in this field. And to connect with a vibrant community, we have a like-minded professionals. We have a Slack community named as Plumfied Marketers Community. Engage in discussion, network, and learn from one another. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Stay curious, keep learning, and continue making mark in the world of marketing. Thank you so much.